this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
This is Edwin Castro from the 1021 podcast. Kick off the FIFA World Cup 2026 in style. Why wing your backyard setup when you can build it like Beckham with an assist from the Home Depot? Set your backyard stage with a thick green pitch, a sizzling grill, and a freshly stained deck, all designed to keep the party going long after the final whistle. And with fast, free delivery, your watch party setup can be legendary. Go big at home. Build it like Beckham for match day. The Home Depot, official FIFA World Cup 2026 supporter. Subject to availability.
When you're a maintenance engineer in a beverage manufacturing plant, you keep production lines moving and quality on track, because there's no room for slowdowns. With Grainger's vast selection of high-quality motors, sensors, belts, and hard-to-find parts, you can get what you need fast and all in one place, so nothing gets in the way of getting the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is a message from Michelin. Of course, you're expecting to hear sounds like... or even... but not this time. What you will hear is... because at Michelin, we innovate on the road and beyond by creating airless tires to equip robots in their exploration of new planets. And this robot is rolling in negative 88 degrees Fahrenheit.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know, a production of iHeartRadio.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh, and there's Chuck, and this is Stuff You Should Know. We're into 2026 now, Chuck. What do you think about that? How you feel?
I have high hopes for this year.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Do I really? I don't know.
I think you should.
Okay.
We
Why?
should have high hopes for every year. And we can be let down, sure, but, you know, you could still have high hopes.
I guess I have my cynical hat on, so that was a bad time to ask me that question, because we're talking about Ed and Lorraine Warren, as Julia said, who titled this one. I'm using this title even.
It's great.
Paranormal power couple that you might know if you've ever seen movies like the Amityville Horror. So we talked about them in that episode for sure. Or The Conjuring.
Yeah.
Or was it The Haunting in Connecticut?
Yep.
Was another one?
Mm-hmm.
They made a lot of money scamming people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's really no, well, I want to say there's no other way to put it. Plenty of people on the internet put it differently. They were the real deal, legit Ghostbusters, demon hunters. It just, if you add up all the evidence and you're incredulous and skeptical, you probably not only suspect the Warrens were frauds, but you might actually have a little disdain for them. I say we kind of present both sides, even though I feel like it's pretty clear where we land, maybe.
Okay. Have you seen K-pop Demon Hunters?
No. Is it good?
Yeah, I figured you guys would have seen that. I figured Jimmy would be into that.
What is it on Netflix? Because we don't have that anymore.
Yeah, it's Netflix original, so.
Okay. No, I haven't seen it.
Although they did show it in theaters, had sing-alongs in the theaters and stuff.
Oh, cute. I got to see that.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it has, it's a legit sensation.
It's funny that I don't know what we were talking about, but The Conjuring came up not too long ago, and you said you hadn't seen it. Have you still not seen it?
Since last week, I have not seen The Conjuring.
Do you remember how it came up?
I mean, I think we were talking about the Raggedy Ann doll.
That's right.
And
Man,
the Doll's Up.
Great memory. So, okay. I still say The Conjuring, the first one, is a legendary, classic, great ghost horror movie. It's just fantastic.
So nothing changed since last week?
No, but it could have, because learning more and more about the actual backstory behind it and just how exploitive it was and how historically bent it is.
Yeah.
It could have really affected how I view it, but I decided not to.
Well, you can separate art from the rag doll.
For sure. I can, and I'm going to, by God. Let's do that right now.
All right. So Ed and Lorraine Warren, they founded in 1952 the New England Society for Psychic Research in Connecticut. Ed said, self-described demonologist. Lorraine, self-described clairvoyant and trance medium. And they formed that in Connecticut because they were both from Connecticut. And looking at their list of greatest hits, did a lot of ghost busting in Connecticut.
Yeah, one of the things you can credit them for is they made the idea of like ghost hunting mainstream. All of the terrible TV shows that are around today all owe their existence to the Warrens, essentially. There were ghost hunters and psychical research societies and everything around before them, but they were so huge into publicity and getting their stories out there that they kind of put it on the map as far as at least America's concerned.
Yeah, for sure. So credit or scorn, they were the OGs. Ed was, I guess Warren was his middle name because he was born Ed Warren Miney in 1926 in Bridgeport. He says that he grew up in a haunted house, so that's where he got his first Jones for this kind of work. And his wife was born Lorraine Moran. Moran?
I think Moran.
Later Warren, obviously. In 1927, just a few months later, also in Bridgeport, grew up very, very Catholic and that'll, play a part in their careers because it all had a Catholic bent.
Yeah.
And they met as teenagers, got married in 1945 when Ed was on leave from the Navy, serving in World War II. And then they had a little girl, Judy, and Ed went to art school. And ironically, that's where they got their start ghost busting because they were traveling around hawking his wares as an artist. And they said, well, while we're here, we might as well do some paranormal investigation because that's what you do.
Right. And if you are familiar at all with the Conjuring series, you're like, I already know all this. And that is because the largest horror franchise in history, the Conjuring series, is based on the Warrens' files, the books they wrote, the interviews they gave, the TV shows that they consulted on. If you put it all together, all of the Conjuring movies that started in 2013 have grossed at least $2.3 billion.
Wowza.
All based on the malarkey that the Warrens came up with from the 50s to I think it really kind of tapered off in like the 90s.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think, right? This just sort of average couple from Connecticut who were doing their thing. Like, I don't think they certainly saw dollar signs, but nothing like that.
No, and we have to say they never charged a dime from anybody in need that they were helping. They didn't make their money that way. They made their money through lectures, through selling their stories, other people's stories, frankly. They had a museum that they charged money to come in and see, entry. But they never charged the people that they were helping, which I think is definitely worth pointing out.
Yeah, they didn't show up and say, what do you got? You got a demon and you got a ghost. That's, let me see, carry the one. We can get rid of that thing for $5,000.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get into this.
I thought we had.
I said it was, sort of very Catholic. Their encounters were very much steeped in Catholic dogma. We're talking, I say it's right out of a horror movie because it literally was. People would speak in different languages, supposedly. There were alleged, hoof prints appearing in the snow, levitating beds, levitating kids, foul smells, exorcisms, furniture. That furniture's moving all over the place itself. Doors are shutting without any wind blowing.
Right.
Just shutting.
For sure. This is a 50-something year career. They founded the New England Society for Psychic Research in 1952. So they've been doing this for quite a while. But their all-time huge cases didn't really start to pick up until the 70s. I think the first one that people point to as the first big deal case became the basis for that first Conjuring movie. It was the Perron family haunting with Carolyn and Roger Perron. And they had 5 daughters, and they moved into a house in Rhode Island, an old farmhouse that was built in the 1750s, I think maybe, 1667 Round Top Road. It was also known as the Old Arnold Estate. And they moved in and they stayed there for 10 years. But during that 10-year time, they had some really hard occurrences, according to them.
That's right. That's a great way to say allegedly, because I've been thinking about how to mix that up some.
According to them?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that. The children were the first ones to sort of get the haunt. And the parents didn't really believe that was going on. They told their daughters, like, no, you're just being little girls, of course, and you're seeing ghosts that aren't there. But the parents soon got on board and said, yeah, something's happening here. The beds are levitating. There's that awful smell. They did a little self-research before they called the Warrens and found that there had been apparently a lot of really gruesome deaths over the history of that home, which is not unusual for a super old farmhouse. So that's when they picked up the phone. They called the Warrens. I can't imagine, what year was this? 1971. Like how, I mean, this is in Rhode Island. I guess word just gets around, or maybe they see a newspaper article or something, because, before the internet, it was amazing to me that all these people just knew who to call.
I was wondering that as well. And I think in some cases they didn't call. It's just people have written that, because there's so many cases and they're so convoluted and they're so just, there's so much BS around them that people just take total liberties with it. So it's not entirely clear who called whom. But let's just say they called the Warrens, right? The Warrens showed up. They held a seance. And in the seance, Carolyn is thrown across the room, but first she starts speaking in tongues. I think her daughter Andrea later wrote that she was speaking in a language that that never existed on Earth. I think assuming that this was a demon, that kind of thing. And they traced the whole thing back to the spirit of a witch, a dead witch. And we established in the Bell Witch short stuff that a witch ghost is the worst kind of both.
Mm-hmm.
And she had lived in the house in the early 1800s. And not only was she a witch, she was a child murderer. She had murdered an infant with a knitting needle. And so they had the seance. Carolyn gets thrown against the wall. Nothing changes, nothing solved. And the Warrens are like, see ya. Thanks for the story. When the Warrens left, the haunting hadn't ended, but the parents stuck it out for 10 years total. And then when they moved out, the haunting stopped.
That's right. And what we're going to do here, we're going to go over some of their greatest hits, as told by the Warrens and others.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe we'll come back later and sort of pick them apart a bit.
Maybe, if we feel like it.
The next one, of course, is Annabelle. We talked a little bit about the doll in the Dolls episode. This is the early 70s in Hartford, Connecticut, when a nurse got a Raggedy Ann doll as a gift, and the doll came to life, started doing some cute things like, hey, I'll leave a little note for the nurse, or you're going to put me down in this chair, but I'm going to really go over in this room just so you know that I'm fully animated and alive.
Like Elf on the Shelf kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And the nurse was like, all right, this is fine, because I think this doll was haunted by a little girl who died in the house named Annabelle Higgins. And so I kind of feel bad because it's just a little girl ghost. But eventually, her friend, she had a friend that was physically attacked by unseen forces, I guess, via Annabelle, the doll. And Ed and Lorraine says were called in, but I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't minding the news and making some calls themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. That would be my guess. Because this is an era, the 70s, man, you could call a newspaper and be like, I've got a haunted doll. My house is haunted. There's a ghost witch. And a newspaper reporter would show up and write a story about it, right?
Totally, yeah.
So, yes, these stories did pop up in the newspaper. And I'm quite sure that the Warrens were reading papers for this. One way or another, they showed up. And they determined, no, this is not the ghost of a little girl named Annabelle Higgins. This is a demon hanging around a doll, pretending to be Annabelle Higgins in order to get close enough to Donna, the nurse whose doll it is, so that she can possess her soul. And that was the story that they told. And what do you do when you got a demon, Chuck?
You bring in an exorcist, and that's what they did. And this is my favorite part of this whole article. Is this sentence. It's unclear if it was successful, since the doll continued to cause problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that didn't work then. And the Warren said, all right, we'll take that doll, since the doll's not the problem. And one day we shall make a lot of money from this doll.
Yeah, they put it in their museum under glass. And apparently they said a prayer of containment to keep the doll and its attendant demon behind the glass.
And I think it's worked, because you know what? Apparently that doll just sits there behind the glass.
Yeah, staring. But they said that the last people who mocked it, somebody who was visiting the museum, died in a motorcycle crash right afterwards. So do you want to move on to the Lutzes? Because I love the Lutzes and what they did and said.
Yeah, I mean, we did a whole episode on this, so I don't think we have to get super detailed, but the Lutzes were the Amityville horror family. They're at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. This is in the mid-1970s, and a real tragedy happened here in 1974 at about 3 o'clock in the morning when the guy who lived there, Ronald DeFeo Jr., killed his whole family. His parents, his 4 younger siblings, he killed them all as they slept by gunfire. And then a year later, the Lutz family moves in, and they don't make it 10 years. They make it about a month before they realize that mortgage was way too much.
Yes, yeah, exactly. They said that afterward, they went to the press and said that they had experienced terrible odors. Both George and Kathy, the parents, had been possessed-ish, maybe light possessed, that their daughter had made a friend named Jody with red eyes, who was actually some sort of pig ghost demon that no one else could see, although I think somebody caught sight of it. Flies swarmed out of nowhere and almost made Rod Steiger throw up.
Yeah.
This one's the creepiest. I love it the most. Hoof prints came out of nowhere in the snow outside of the house. And you know what has hoof prints and walks upright?
A talented goat?
A talented goat, a pig ghost demon, or Satan himself.
That's right. So the Warrens are there. I'm going to just stop saying called in. They just appear out of the ether.
Right.
They do their investigation, and they said that they at first confirmed the presence of a child ghost, but then did a little more digging and said, actually, this is not a haunted house, everyone. And the Lutzes went, oh, thank God. And they said, this is haunted land. The very land under this house is evil. It was built on Native American cemetery where they had some dark rituals in the past. And this is what led Ronald DeFeo to kill his whole family. So sorry to be the bearer of bad tidings, but you guys are in bad trouble.
Yeah, this was a one-time seance that they held where they found all this stuff out. And they actually, one of the most famous photos of a ghost ever produced, it's called the Ghost Boy photo from the Amityville house, came out of this investigation, this one-night investigation the Warrens had. If you've never seen the Ghost Boy photo from Amityville, go type that in and check it out. It's
creepy.
Really great, creepy, unsettling photo, especially if you compare it to John DeFeo. I think he was the youngest brother of the DeFeos who were murdered by the oldest brother. It looks an awful lot like him. So a lot of people are like, there you go. The Warrens had it figured out. There's a ghost. There's Indian burial ground is now a trope thanks to them. And we can thank them for poltergeist as a result.
That's right. I say we take a break, yeah?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about 3 more of their more famous investigations right after this.
This is fun.
Hello. This is Malcolm Gladwell from Smart Talks with IBM. Today we're diving into a fascinating conversation with Stefano Pallard, head of fan development for Scuderia Ferrari HP.
Your pronunciation is strongly American. It's more Scuderia Ferrari.
I'm still working on rolling my R's. But what I was able to learn from Stefano was the importance of engaging the tifosi, the Ferrari superfans in the digital age.
Ferrari fans and superfans want to be part of something, want to belong to something. So they want to be part of a community, and ultimately they want to be part of a winning team.
You've got Ferrari, which has a long history, design history. And now you're interacting in a kind of digital space. I'm curious how you balance those two traditions.
When it comes to fan engagement, it's really digital technology and digital channels are the enable to create a deeper connection with our fans.
To learn more about how Ferrari and IBM are using technology to build deeper connections with fans, visit ibm.com/Ferrari.
Every small business owner has that one story, the one moment that could have broken them, but remarkably, it didn't. Hi, I'm Ben Walter, CEO of Chase for Business. And on Season 3 of The Unshakables, my co-host Kathleen Griffith and I are bringing you more incredible stories of overcoming the impossible. You'll hear from entrepreneurs who faced make-or-break moments and came out stronger. We dig into how they did it, what they learned, what they'd never do again, and what kept pushing them forward. These are the stories that remind us that being unshakable isn't about never failing. It's about how you rise, rebuild, and keep going. Whether you're starting up, scaling up, or trying to find your footing again, these stories remind us that resilience lives everywhere, in small businesses all across America. Listen to The Unshakables wherever you get your podcasts, and learn more at chase.com/podcast. JP Morgan Chase Bank, and a member FDIC, copyright 2026, JP Morgan Chase & Company.
I turned off news altogether.
I hate to say it, but I don't trust much of anything.
It's the rage bait.
It feels like it's trying to divide people.
If we got clear facts, maybe we could calm down a little.
NBC News brings you clear reporting. Let's meet at the facts. Let's move forward from there. NBC News, reporting for America.
All right, we're back. I guess it's not too far past Halloween, so in our minds, it's not early January, so we're sort of in that spooky mood. So this is sitting quite well with us.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to talk about the Enfield haunting, because this is not in Connecticut, my friends. This is in London, England, in 1977. And Enfield is a suburb of London, and at the time, one Peggy Hodgson and her daughters were. What were they? They were terrorized by unseen forces, just like the rest. They move into this place, banging sounds coming from the daughter's room. Peggy bursts in and sees this dresser creeping across the floor by itself, seemingly going toward the door to block it. And Peggy was like, I got to get that dresser. It's out of control. But by the time she got to it, it was like it was glued. She couldn't even move this thing.
No. This is the basis for the Conjuring 2. Also a truly great ghost movie, especially for a sequel. And
was it London?
Yeah. I mean, it's
English?
based on this. This is a very famous case that was also investigated by the Society for Psychical Research, which was founded all the way back in 1882, 70 years before the Warrens founded their society. But they showed up because the Hodgsons, or I should say Peggy Hodgson, couldn't get any help from the police. And she had basically reached the end of her rope because one of her daughters, Janet, I think the youngest daughter, started falling into trances and apparently was possessed by a ghost named Bill Wilkins, who said that he had died in that same house, actually in a chair in the corner, and that he wanted everybody out because this was his house. And if you see that movie, it's really well done and super creepy.
Have you seen all those movies?
I have seen those two.
Oh, okay.
That's the extent of it.
How many are there?
Good God.
How many things have they conjured?
So with The Conjuring, I think they're up to 4, maybe.
Oh, okay.
But then there's a whole other sub-franchise with the Evil Nun. I think I've seen one of those.
Spin-offs and stuff?
And then the Annabelle stuff too. But I've only seen the first 2 Conjurings. And they're good. They're good movies. They're hokey in a lot of ways. But
yeah.
As far a good, decent, even mediocre ghost movie is so few and far between. There's so many terrible ones that I'll take whatever decent table scraps can be tossed at me.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
I'll check it out.
Okay.
So, like you said, the Society for Psychical Research, is that right? Psychical? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They come in. They're competitors of the Warren, of course, over there, I guess. And they observed, all the stuff they were talking about, like things levitating, furniture moving, of course, fires erupting out of nowhere. Apparently cups just filling up with water when there is no water around.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, one of the researchers had a curtain that was slowly creeping around his neck as if to choke him.
Yeah, this is a skeptical society that believes in the possibility of ghosts and poltergeists and stuff, but they're not just credulous ding-dongs.
Oh, the That society, what are they? The Psychical
The
Society?
SPR. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. Ed and Lorraine maybe investigated, maybe didn't. This is where it gets a little dodgy, and we're going to talk about that in Act 3. But at any rate, in 1978, they said, you got a poltergeist. That's what the deal is. And, New Line Cinema, you want to buy this story? We'll sell it to you.
Yeah. And they did.
That's right.
There was a really cool documentary I saw where the SPR made tons of audio tapes, reel-to-reel audio tapes of this. And somebody made a docudrama or whatever, where they used the tapes as all of the audio, and then they hired actors to act out the stuff, and the dialogue was the tape. So these people had to lip sync with the tapes. And it was all done in period costumes and all that stuff from the 70s. It's really good. I can't remember the name of it, but I'm pretty sure that's the only documentary to attempt that. So if you can find that, watch it.
Did you ever watch that Zoom call horror movie that I recommended?
Yeah, it was pretty decent.
Yeah, not bad, huh?
Yeah, I was really uncomfortable when they started making light of it in front of the psychic medium. That was the thing that got me the most. It was awkward.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, plus that they're going to get it,
Yeah.
even worse because of that.
What was it called?
I think it was called Host. I thought it was very well done.
Yeah.
Pretty clever COVID movie when, they were shooting stuff in as creatively as they could because of the restrictions.
Yes, it was a good movie.
All right, let's move on. We got a couple of more here. The case of Arnie Johnson, also in Connecticut, very conveniently located in Brookfield. This was in 1981, and this one is interesting because there was a 19-year-old named Arnie Johnson who stabbed his landlord, Alan Bono, 20 times. And in his trial, he says, I'm not guilty. And they said, temporary insanity? And they said, no, demonic possession. And the court went, oh boy, here we go.
I think this is the first time anyone ever tried that.
Yeah.
The reason he said that is because he said, I really am possessed by a demon. My fiance, Debbie, her little brother, David, has been possessed by a demon for a while. And we had an exorcism. And during the exorcism, to help David out, I dared the demon to inhabit me instead. Well, he did. And when I got into that argument with the landlord, that demon is the one who really stabbed him, not me.
Right.
That was his defense. But I think the Warrens showed up before all of this, before the stabbing even, and they took a look at David. And Ed looks little David up and down. Is like, yeah, you still got demons attached to you. You still got 43 demons.
That's right. He counted them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they had that exorcism, is the Warrens came in and said, because initially they thought it was a ghost,
Yeah.
And they, the Glatzels, that was Debbie's last name, the girlfriend, they brought in clergy from the Catholic Church to bless young David. That didn't work. So that's when the Warrens show up and they're like, no, it's demonic. It's not a ghost. And you need that exorcism. And during that exorcism is when Arnie Johnson's like, oh, yeah, come into me. I dare you.
Right. And then the murder happens and the guy ends up in trial, Arnie Johnson. I think he went by Cheyenne, his middle name. And so the judge was like, I'm not even going to accept that as a defense. What else you got? And they're like, self-defense. And they tried him on self-defense and he got 5 years in prison for manslaughter. So I guess they believe that to an extent.
Yeah.
That's not the end of that case, but that's a huge legendary case too. And then there was also, there was a movie called The Haunting in Connecticut. It's awful. And it was made kind of outside of the Warrens' purview, but this was a case that's largely associated with them that involved the Snedeker family.
That's right. That was also very conveniently located in Southington, Connecticut, right there on Meriden Avenue. And this is a case where two people, Carmen Reed and Alan Snedeker, they got their kids. They had 4 of them and a niece. They brought them there to live because their son Philip needed nearby medical care, kind of long-term medical care, and it made it more convenient. So they moved in there. They move in, and of course, things start going down. Philip, who is the young, sick son, he starts seeing a threatening young man with long, dark hair who would just repeat his name over and over. And then Carmen, I believe was the mom, was in the basement, and she was like, wait a minute. There are toe tags and there's embalming equipment here and photos of dead people. I wonder what this house used to be. And everyone said, duh, it was a funeral home.
Yeah, the Hallahan Funeral Home for decades. I think pretty much right before it became a home for rent. And it turned out that Philip's room was once the display room for the caskets. When they sold you the caskets, you know, they have like half caskets on the wall, that kind of thing. This is where Philip was sleeping. The embalming room was just down the hall. The thing is Philip needing this constant care of treatments for Hodgkin's lymphoma type of cancer, they couldn't move. They couldn't leave the house. So they had to kind of stick it out, and things just kept getting worse and worse. Finally, Philip started to change and became very violent, and was, I think, forcibly taken to a mental hospital for observation and stayed there for a couple of months, I think, and was finally diagnosed with schizophrenia. He moved out. He avoided the house again. And I don't remember if the haunting continued or not. But one of the big things that came out of this was an appearance on Sally Jesse Raphael. The title of the episode is I Was Raped by a Ghost, because Carmen said that she was repeatedly raped by a ghost and the niece was fondled by a ghost. And the Warrens also show up on that episode. And you can find it online. It's a Sally Jesse Raphael episode for sure.
Yeah, you sent that to me, and I did my best to scrub through and hit the highs.
Right.
Shall we take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
All right, we'll take a break and kind of wrap up with what's going on with the Warrens and all these cases right after this.
Hello, this is Malcolm Gladwell from Smart Talks with IBM. Today we're diving into a fascinating conversation with Stefano Pallard, Head of Fan Development for Scuderia Ferrari HP.
Your pronunciation is strongly American. It's more Scuderia Ferrari.
I'm still working on rolling my R's. But what I was able to learn from Stefano was the importance of engaging the tifosi, the Ferrari superfans in the digital age.
Ferrari fans and superfans want to be part of something, want to belong to something. So they want to be part of a community, and ultimately they want to be part of a winning team.
You've got Ferrari, which has a long history, design history. And now you're interacting in a kind of digital space. And I'm curious how you balance those two traditions.
When it comes to fan engagement, it's really digital technology and digital channels are the enable to create a deeper connection with our fans.
To learn more about how Ferrari and IBM are using technology to build deeper connections with fans, visit ibm.com/Ferrari.
Every small business owner has that one story, the one moment that could have broken them, but remarkably, it didn't. Hi, I'm Ben Walter, CEO of Chase for Business, and on Season 3 of The Unshakables, my co-host Kathleen Griffith and I are bringing you more incredible stories of overcoming the impossible. You'll hear from entrepreneurs who faced make-or-break moments and came out stronger. We dig into how they did it, what they learned, what they'd never do again, and what kept pushing them forward. These are the stories that remind us that being unshakable isn't about never failing. It's about how you rise, rebuild, and keep going. Whether you're starting up, scaling up, or trying to find your footing again, these stories remind us that resilience lives everywhere, in small businesses all across America. Listen to The Unshakables wherever you get your podcasts, and learn more at chase.com/podcast. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC, copyright 2026, JP Morgan Chase & Company.
I turned off news altogether.
I hate to say it, but I don't trust much of anything.
It's the rage bait.
It feels like it's trying to divide people.
If we got clear facts, maybe we can calm down a little.
NBC News brings you clear reporting. Let's meet at the facts. Let's move forward from there. NBC News, reporting for America.
All right, Chuck. So one of the things that gives the Warrens casework, I guess, credence in any quarter is that this is all based on some kernel of truth. Like Ronald DeFeo did kill his family in the Amityville house. That definitely happened before the Lutzes moved in. The house that the Snedekers rented was the Hallahan funeral home before they showed up there, and there were like embalming tools still there left over. It turns out that a man named Bill Wilkins did die in that house in Enfield in London, exactly at the time that young Janet, who was apparently possessed by him, said that he had died in the same place that she said he had died too. So there's like all of these different things that are just factual enough to kind of provide a basis that can then be kind of filled in with some fat, maybe a little muscle and sinew to make a full-blown, like, haunting story.
Yeah, and the Warrens, if you asked them back then, they would say, hey, we kept a lot of this evidence. They called it hard evidence, and different, artifacts and things. A lot of this stuff was kept in the museum, that they had at their house that you could, pay to go into and look over this stuff. Some of it was made public. Some of it they held back. They said some of the juiciest stuff they couldn't even show, of course. And in 1997, finally, the New England Skeptical Society said, all right, let's get together. Let's talk this out. Let's look at this evidence that you've got. They brought out that Ghost Boy photo, of course.
Mm-hmm.
They had audio recordings that had these, strange sort of non-languages or otherworldly voices. That was the one, I think, in Enfield with Bill Wilkins. They trotted that out and played it.
Mm-hmm.
They had that Annabelle doll. She shook that doll and said, look, what do you call this? She didn't shake it, of course, because it was stored under glass.
Right.
And then they had, witnesses and personal accounts from people that, testified, not in court, obviously, but that all this stuff was, very real to them.
Yeah. And so these scientists evaluated all of their evidence and their means and methods and motives, and they decided that it's all blarney. They said
that was a quote, by the way. You don't say blarney.
Yeah. I don't really say blarney very often.
No.
I say malarkey, I guess, because I did at the beginning, but I guess it was based on that quote. They said they're not doing good scientific investigation, which I think is generous to even assume that they're doing any scientific investigation. Yeah. And that there's they come along, they say it's a demon, and then everything that all the evidence they gather supports that hypothesis rather than gathering evidence and then coming up with a hypothesis from it. And they basically were like, none of this stuff is falsifiable, testable. Yes, there's a doll right there that they say is haunted. That's not evidence, right?
Yeah.
So they just basically said that they're just total frauds. And if you look at the history of the Warrens, this is not the first time that happened to them. It was not the last time that happened to them. They just rolled with it. It never slowed them down. They never seemed to freak out whenever they were called frauds or hucksters or grifters. They just either just shook it off or they had some sort of response like Lorraine Warren had in response to that New England Skeptical Society 1997 study.
Yeah, she said they don't base anything on a god.
Right. So if you don't bring God into it and the idea that they're Roman Catholic God warriors fighting evil incarnate on earth, helping families for free, then of course it's not going to make any sense to you egghead pencil neck college boy scientists.
Yeah. And, one of the biggest criticisms of their work and other work by other paranormal investigators, because, a lot of these people use pretty questionable techniques at times. So it's not like the Warrens were any worse than a lot of them. But the fact that a lot of times you can trace this back to maybe somebody in that household has some sort of mental illness going on and they're being exploited.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can be like, well, it's all in good fun, but there are actual problems with what they were doing, and that's one of them. And even if they weren't mentally ill, some of these families did believe that there was something going on, and they were in some sort of crisis, and the Warrens would come in, tell them they had some demons, maybe give it a shot, maybe solve things or not, and then go off and sell the family's story as their own case, right? That's again how they made a lot of money, was writing books and giving lectures based on these places where they just show up and then take over the story and insert themselves. That's harmful. I also saw that you can ascribe, at least in part, the satanic panic that came along in the 80s from them kind of normalizing the idea that people were out there getting possessed by 43 demons, getting raped by ghosts. That was a contribution they made. And then also, especially these Conjuring stories now, if you watch them, Chuck, the Lorraine and Ed Warren are portrayed as this couple who have arguably the greatest marriage in the history of humans, and that they are just steam powered by God. And that's what they're doing. They're battling evil here on earth. And so I think it kind of whips up like a little bit of potentially misplaced religious version of patriotism in people who are religious.
Yeah, probably so. We can now talk about some sort of maybe the claims against some of these cases. One of the claims was that the Warrens actually paid a guy named Ray Gorton to completely make up the Snedeker haunting.
Mm-hmm.
They worked with an author, which is true. His name was Ray Gorton, to write a book about that case called In a Dark Place, the story of a true haunting. And Gorton in 2009 said that book was entirely fiction. And they're grifters, because I was interviewing this family and the stories didn't match up from person to person. And I took it to Ed and he said, quote, "They're crazy. All the people who come to us are crazy. That's why they come to us. Just use what you can to make up the rest."
Yeah. So that's
one
one
Snedeker case.
That's one little piece of evidence. And this guy actually wrote the book and was paid by it. I don't think that he had much of an axe to grind.
Right.
The Enfield house, it's not even clear that they investigated at all. The closest anyone's ever put them to this haunting was one of the Society for Psychical Research investigators guy. I don't know if it's Leon or Lion Playfair. He was one of the lead dudes. He said that at the very least, Ed showed up maybe for an hour or something, was hanging out outside, I guess, with them, and was like, you can make some money off of this if you want to do some business.
Yeah.
And I guess Playfair was like, I don't do that. And so Ed was like, all right, see ya, and took off. And then again, took the story as their own. Like if you watch The Conjuring 2, they are basically the linchpin to freeing this family from this torment.
Yeah. Yeah. Amityville supposedly was a hoax. This all came out later. In 1979, there was a lawsuit. And the guy who shot up his family, Ronald DeFeo, his defense lawyer, William Weber, said that he and the Lutz family made it all up one night over, quote, several bottles of wine.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lutzes kind of came out and said, yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And Ed and Lorraine Warren were like, no, that's not what happened.
Right. I think Lorraine had a quote during the seance. So they met George Lutz once when he handed off the keys for them to go have a seance. They didn't ever meet Kathy. They never walked around the house or worked with them. They had a one-night seance where that Ghost Boy photo was produced, which must have been just jackpot luck for them, because it looks a lot like John DeFeo in the face, but John DeFeo is also wearing the exact same shirt that an assistant named Paul Bartz, who was there that night, was wearing. People are like, well, he's probably taking a measurement or working on equipment kneeling down, and it just happened that his photo was taken. But the idea that they had much, if anything, to do with Amityville is incorrect, except for all the lore they made up, like the Indian burial ground. As far as I know, they came up with that, even though they got the tribe wrong. So the whole idea of Amityville being as off the chain as it was came largely from them, but also from the Lutz's story. They helped publicize it big time.
Yeah, I looked up that house. It's been bought and sold quite a bit over the years, but someone eventually changed those two upper windows.
Yeah.
That, I don't know, just kind of looked creepy. They kind of look like eyes, I guess, but now they're just regular windows.
I saw that the old Arnold estate that was in Conjuring 1, somebody bought it in like after the first Conjuring came out for like $500,000 and then pumped up the idea that it was still haunted and sold it for $1.5 million like 2 years later.
So now they're in demand, haunted houses?
Pretty much, yes.
That's interesting.
One of the biggest things that came out, also just one thing before we go on, I would direct anybody who's into that first Conjuring and knows all about that house to go read a blog called Dreaming Casually. Historian Jamie Rubio really looked into Bathsheba Sherman and her history, and apparently it is all made up to the point where she's essentially a slandered 200-year-old person. So go read that. But I think probably the biggest knock that the Warrens got came in 2017, long after they were international global stars thanks to the Conjuring series. And a woman named Judith Penny came forward and said, Ed Warren and I had a sexual relationship starting when I was 15, and Lorraine knew all about it.
Yeah, she moved into the house and supposedly had a 40-year relationship. And like you said, Lorraine was okay with it. I think they had a business going. Penny said that she was impregnated by Ed, and Lorraine pressured her to have an abortion because that would hurt the family business. And this is a big sort of red flag here. The Hollywood Reporter said that when Lorraine, because they got a bunch of money to consult on TV and movies over the years. I think, we've kind of made that clear. But Lorraine specifically had a deal to consult on The Conjuring. And she barred New Line from showing Ed and Lorraine being as anything other than what you said, like this sort of perfect couple. Specifically, it said no criminal offenses, no sex with minors, no child pornography, prostitution, or sexual assault, or depicted as participating in an extramarital sexual relationship. And just so people know, this is not sort of a normal kind of thing. Even in Hollywood, when they're doing these big contracts about, supposedly true stories, to include all that very specific stuff is not normal.
Yeah, I was reading that as well. So that's a little odd, especially when you combine it with Judith Penny's story.
That sounds totally true.
But yeah, and again, coming forward in 2017, it's not like the moment the first Conjuring came out, she's like, give me some money. Like she seemed to have I think she actually testified in an affidavit that all of this was true too.
Yeah.
So that's tarnished their legacy a little bit, especially if you already thought they were grifters or hucksters or something like that. It's not entirely clear whether they believed any of the claims that they made. If they didn't, then Lorraine Warren was one of the great character actors of all time who never broke character, at least in front of anyone who was willing to come forward. And she died, I think, in 2019, long after The Conjuring had become huge. Ed died, I think, sadly, the last movie he got to see was The Haunting in Connecticut. He died in 2006.
Oh.
So they're both gone now, but the New England Society for Psychic Research, which again they founded in 1952, it's still going on under their son-in-law, Tony Spira, to whom, quote, all of their knowledge and experience has been successfully passed.
That's right. And that Annabelle doll is still around. It's I don't think they have that museum anymore. That closed in 2019 when Lorraine passed away. But Annabelle will show up here and there on tours and special events. Yes.
But they had a really cool museum from what I could tell, but it's shut down inexplicably. It's not open anymore, and there doesn't seem to be any plans to open it again.
Yeah.
But there's a new Conjuring movie out, I think, Last Rites or
really?
something. Yeah.
Man.
It's based on a case that we didn't talk about, but there was sexual abuse by demons as well. It was also in the 80s, so that was their big thing then.
Who wants to see that?
A lot, millions and millions and millions of people around the world.
Are they still super popular?
Oh, yes. And supposedly this one is like their last one, but they hand the reins over to their son-in-law, Tony Spira. So he might become the new leader of the franchise along with their daughter, Judy.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's basically like the new Marvel.
Yeah.
Well, Chuck said, yeah, everybody, which means in old school fashion, it's time for listener mail.
Yeah, this is just a quickie correction. Hey, guys, I'm listening now, and you might have heard this already, but Chuck was right in pronouncing villa.
How you feel, Chuck?
The double L sounds that Josh was talking about is Spanish, not Italian.
Well, that's what I was saying it in.
That is from Christina in New York.
Who was it, huh?
Who loves listening.
Oh, thanks a lot, Christina. We appreciate that. I think a few people wrote in to say, yeah, Chuck was right. That's fine.
This is the only one I saw.
I'm happy. I'm happy for you, Chuck. Are you happy for me for being happy for you?
Sure.
Okay. If you want to get in touch with us like Christina did, you can send us an email as well. Send it off to stuffpodcast@iheartradio.com.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
Being a small business owner isn't just a career, it's a calling. Chase for Business knows how much heart and effort go into building something of your own. Manage all your business finances, from banking to payments to credit cards, all in one place with our digital tools. Plus, access online resources designed to help your business thrive. Learn more at chase.com/business. Chase for Business. Make more of what's yours. The Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. J.P. Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC. Copyright 2026. J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
Running a business shouldn't feel like surviving a software group project. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in, an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together, from sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, all in one powerful platform. No messy integrations, no bouncing between tabs. And best of all, no spreadsheets. Stop managing software and start managing your business with one unified system. Try for free today at odoo.com/iHeartRadio. That's odoo.com/iHeartRadio.
Introducing the all-new Mazda CX-5, featuring more connection.
Hey Google, where's the nearest Pilates class?
Safety that has your back. More discovery on the scenic routes. More passion in the details. And more control in changing weather. The all-new Mazda CX-5. More to move every side of you. See it in 5 films at MazdaUSA.com/5sides.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC. Sequences shortened and simulated.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.